YouTube, back with another video. This time we're reacting to the top 10 best anime moments of 2019. 2019 was a hell of a roller coaster for anime watchers. We had a lot of great scenes I can't play, a lot of deaths I can't play that some people were kind of against. But it was a hell of a year for anime. But without further ado, we're going to get straight into the top 10 best moments of 2019.
2019 was one heck of a ride for anime fans, and with its end coming closer, we decided to keep the flame going by showing you the amazing experience we had throughout the year. So sit tight and get ready for a recap of some of the best and most memorable moments of 2019. We start off this list with a legendary fight between Thorfinn versus Torkel, the highlight of Vinland Saga. Torkel seemed to be a true...
I recently just got into Vinland Saga. From what I break down, it's a hell of an anime. I like it a lot. I'm only a few episodes in. If I'm mistaken, season 1 just ended, but will highly recommend it. It's a great anime.
Testament for Thorfinn's speed and agility, just as in their previous confrontation. Thorfinn cut Torkel a couple of times, but in the end, however, Torkel cleverly used the snow around the field to cover his final kick move, which sends our hero flying high into the air, landing pretty badly. Ironically though, he's saved by the snow. Thorfinn wakes up from passing out moments later and tries to engage again in the fight, but realizes his arm is broken and thankfully listens to Askeladd's advice. Thorfinn pretends to be exhausted, reaching his limits, while in reality, he puts Torkel in a trap just where Askeladd told him to be. When the moment comes, Askeladd uses the reflection of the sun with his sword to flash Torkel and distract him, and Thorfinn hits the weak spot, and we see the giant Torkel fall to the ground. As soon as that happened, Thorfinn goes for his eye, but Torkel's men interrupted the duel, infuriating him. In the end, he admits defeat and joins Thorfinn and Askeladd as the prince's vassals. Next up, we have Hyakkimaru's Rage. After Hyakkimaru regained his voice by wounding a demon and losing his leg in exchange, he then returns to the temple to heal his wounds to challenge the demon for another round. When he finally does that, he returns to see Mio, an old friend who also happens to be his childhood love interest. Upon his arrival, Hyakkimaru sees Mio's house burning with all the orphans still in it. Because of her dual camp duty, she was branded as a spy leading to the terrible event. Hyakkimaru held deep feelings for Mio, and her death pushed him to the edge, filling him with unimaginable rage. This is when we see for the first time his uncontrollable anger take over, as he mercilessly massacres every single one of the soldiers right in front of Dororo's eyes.
If you don't know, One Piece is my favorite anime of all time, and I have watched this fight probably over 30 times since it came out. I just love everything about this fight.
Coming in at number 8, we have Luffy versus Katakuri. This isn't the first time our beloved straw-hatted pirate convinces his enemy to take on the righteous path, or at least pointing them in the right direction. And that's exactly what we're witnessing. Here. The clash between the two is just as focused on the physical fight as it is on the even more important ideological conflict. Luffy's goal is to become the Pirate King, not because he wants to rule over everything and everyone, but to ensure his family and his crew get a free and safe life. Katakuri, on the other hand, has a toxic family that's as worse as it gets, living in fear of their crazy mother, who gives the word family a new, twisted meaning. Overall, the Luffy versus Katakuri fight's about their motivations, dreams and goals, and what it means to be your true self. In the end, Katakuri understands that Luffy's not his enemy, but rather a foe who helped him be his true self. It's stuff like this that, over 20 years in, still makes One Piece worth talking about.
面白くなってきたじゃないか。
Alright, this is Mob Psycho, the second season, I'm not mistaken. Mob Psycho was another anime I got into in 2019. I'm really hoping to come back with another season. It's the artwork of it is not as clean as other animes you would see, but it has a pretty good storyline and great anime fights. Some people say the main antagonist looks like Saitama from One Punch Man. I can see it's about similar artwork, but it's a great anime. Would definitely recommend.
In at number 7 is Mob vs Toichiro Suzuki. Mob vs Toichiro Suzuki is one anime moment we just had to add in here. Toichiro Suzuki is kind of like your typical wannabe king of the world type of guy, but he also happens to be one of the few people to make Mob use his full 100% power. Mob, as he says to Suzuki, has no intentions to hurt him, only to reason with him. After clearly neglecting his words, Mob's forced to quit holding up and shows him who's the real boss. Suzuki manages to keep up with Mob, but puts a huge restraint on his body so he can constantly match his level of power that ultimately turns him into a living atomic bomb. In the end, Toichiro regrets his actions, but it's too late. Even though Mob absorbed a lot of his power, he still couldn't keep all the energy in, resulting in a huge explosion, but thankfully, everybody manages to escape on time.
If you're an anime watcher, I'm almost positive you have seen this anime. One Punch Man, probably one of the biggest animes in the recent past years. One Punch Man, like just like the last one, the artwork is not as clean as some other animes you will like, but it's an amazing anime. Some of the greatest anime fights I ever seen. Between Genos and Saitama, even Sonic got some crazy anime fights as well. It's definitely sits in my top 5 of all time animes I personally enjoy.
Up next, we have the epic speedster showdown from One Punch Man Season 2, Genos vs Speeder Sonic. Sonic arrived from Saitama's apartment looking to settle the score in one final round, presenting himself to Genos as Saitama's rival, which Genos takes as insolence to his new sensei, but ultimately decided it could be a good test to his new parts. They quickly engage. Genos surprises everyone with his enhanced speed, making it hard for Sonic initially, but then the fight reaches a new level, with Sonic's true potential being unleashed when he gets pissed off by losing a little bit of hair, something Saitama can definitely relate to. Genos gets saved in the last second thanks to one punch. If this fight was done in any other show, we would get the impression that we're observing a battle of speed gods, but since we're talking about the world of One Punch Man, the bar for awe is quite high, but it was a great moment nevertheless. At number 5, we have the beaming spectacle of a reality-shattering brawl between Broly and the new badass fusion transformation of Goku and Vegeta, cleverly named Gogeta. A fight that broke the world, literally. The awesome mixture of 3D and 2D animation complements the epic fight in this movie, making every blow significantly more impactful and realistic. The battle of these Super Saiyan Titans tears through the fabric of space itself, breaking through multiple dimensions before arriving back in the real world. Just as we thought that they couldn't top themselves, Dragon Ball yet again raises the bar with an over 9,000 level of high action, setting it nearly impossible to surpass for any future installments to come.
Emma, あなたも早く逃げなさい。このままではあなたは。
And of course, this list wouldn't be complete if we didn't include the escape moment that had been building up in the short yet emotionally packed series, The Promised Neverland. Emma, Norman, and Ray execute one of the...
Not gonna lie, I've never even heard of this anime, let alone watched it. I'm gonna take a side. I'm not looking at this anime. But personally, I've never even heard of this anime.
Best prison breaks ever, training and teaching the other children and making a brilliant strategic plan for escape into reality. Seeing all of them playing each of their individual parts, but most importantly, learning to act as one cohesive unit in order to escape, makes it much more rewarding and satisfying when they finally get away from the terrible fate they'd suffer if they stayed any longer.
最初の朝だ。
行くぞ。
はい。
I knew they were gonna have to get My Hero Academia somewhere, and I love this anime. Definitely in my top 5. I'm sure everybody and anybody knows about this anime already, so it's nothing to be said.
さっぱり族内とガキがゴミの分際で。
Speaking of badass team-ups, at number 3 we have yet another epic climactic movie moment that impacts just as heavy as Dragon Ball. Yes, we're talking about All Might and Midoriya versus Wolfram. Not many other anime superheroes I can think of can praise themselves for defeating one of their toughest villains as these two do. All Might and Midoriya share one of the coolest and blood-pumping final blows ever in My Hero Academia, going beyond their physical limits in their final effort to stop the evildoer Wolfram. The whole scene's packed with amazing choreography, and the awesome soundtrack fills you with the desire to stand and scream in support of your favourite heroes. In the runner-up spot,
it's Wednesday night on BET, and everyone's cards are on the table. And next Wednesday,
spot at number 2.
I already wrapped the Demon Slayer. Finally watched the entire series, and oh my God, this fight was so emotional. There was so much going on that isn't shown in here. So you getting memories of his father, everything that happened in Nezuko. Her husband's Rule. Him like capturing Nezuko was causing pain on her. Tanjiro just like completely snapping. Like it is an amazing scene. I think honestly also one of the most beautiful scenes you'll see in anime. With the artwork of this anime just beyond belief.
We have Tanjiro versus Rui. Throughout the fight, Tanjiro uses all his water movements against Rui, but nothing seems to work. His blade breaks and his sister's suspended by wires while her blood drips. Tanjiro has enough and as a last resort uses his father's dance to summon flames, and Nezuko makes her blood ignite and burns all the wires attaching her. With both of these movements combined, Tanjiro is able to reach Rui and even try to slice his head, and after believing that he did, he collapsed on the floor with Nezuko. The stunning animation and soundtrack, as well as the indestructible brother-sister bond the siblings share that help them cut through Rui's webs, lead to the tear-dropping family reunion.
Come on, look at that. The artwork on that is ridiculous. That's why I love this anime. I'm really hoping they come back for another season. Alright. I have not watched this, but everybody knows this is Attack on Titan. And everybody knows that is Levi right there, if I'm not mistaken. I have not watched Attack on Titan. And I may be the only anime lover that have not watched Attack on Titan yet. There's certain animes I just couldn't get into. Attack on Titan was one. I never got into Bleach. It just wasn't up my alley. But I know a little bit about the anime because I'm an anime watcher. I see it from time to time, but I've not sat and watched the whole anime on this one. But from what I've been told, this was an amazing fight. This is actually my first time ever seeing this fight, so genuine reaction here.
And finally, at number 1, we have the breathtaking Levi versus the Beast Titan. Attack on Titan has one of the most badass and skilled swordsmen in anime in the face of humanity's greatest soldier, Captain in Levi. Fueled by his comrade's sacrifice, Levi rushes in seemingly out of nowhere and mercilessly slices Beast's whole body, using all of his anger and rage. The quick pace and speed of the fight aren't new to the show, but we must say that Levi's skills with the sword continue to amaze us. The Titan didn't even have a chance to react, let alone counterattack, making it hard to be even called a real fight, but more like a way for our hero to blow off some steam, which proves again that Levi's a soldier the Titan should fear. And with that, the list comes to an end. Do you think that there are other moments that are more deserving to be on this list? Feel free to give your...
Alright, we're gonna call it there. That was the top 10 best anime moments of 2019. There was some surprising things I've seen on there. Like I said, that was the last fight with Levi and the Beast Titan. I didn't think that it was a fight that honestly intrigued me that much in Attack on Titan. But I believe that and made me reconsider on potentially having to go back and watch that anime. Is there anything I've moved higher? I feel like I moved that Mob Psycho fight a little higher. I feel like it should have been at least a top 5 because it was a pretty good fight. Personally, I probably would put that Demon Slayer fight number 1 because I feel like that was pretty impactful on anime last year. With the artwork just being amazing throughout the whole series and this perfect song and what that fight meant between the brother and sister bond, reflections of their past family members. I feel like that was just everything about that anime scene right there was just perfect. I don't think there's nothing that could have changed to make that better. But I personally feel that should have been number 1. But make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave any recommendations in the comment section if you have any. DM me on Instagram. But without further ado,